You can't make this stuff up. The unspoken and often spoken motto of every cult. But it doesn't get to that point overnight. It takes prep, preheating, and a long time in the oven. And though the best bullshit is a slow roast that melts in the mouth, by the time it's done, it tastes like chicken. So what's the first step? Crazy stuff. But not just any crazy stuff, super crazy stuff, super wild crazy stuff no one else could even imagine. Why? Because as Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. They say knowledge can be used for good or evil. Imagine what imagination could be used for. No doubt Einstein, of all people, knew. Helps if you believe the crazy stuff too. Easier to sell something you believe in. Or in the words of George Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. But a cult leader doesn't just get high on their own supply. Asylums are full of those people. They start by giving a lot of true stuff away for free before sampling any of the crazy stuff. Something basic, universal, something everyone can agree on. Like 2 + 2 = 4. I think we can all agree on that. Makes sense. But what if I told you there was more to the story that they don't want you to know? That's right, they. Though they've gone by many names across the millennia, we call them the Mathematicons. Numeric beings who control the world by hijacking its most basic truth, math. Everything you think you know is a lie. If only I knew where to begin. The Mathematicons would have you believe 2 + 2 is 4, but every story had two sides, even if it's separated by an equal sign. They invented that to pull the wool over your eyes. Nothing more than a magic trick to silence 4. They always leave out 4's side of the story. What are they hiding? Because 4 has a lot more to say in this case of stolen identity. Because 2 + 2 is not 4, and 4 is not 2 + 2. 4 can be many things. You see how they limit your perception already? And stylizing it as 4 = 2 + 2 only makes it worse. They hide the double standard under the guise of separate but equal. For example, the Mathematicons silence 1 + 3 and 5 - 1, and the cube root of 64, and double the result of dividing a circle's circumference by its radius times pi. Shall I go on? And their 2 + 2 hole goes deeper. Suppose one of the 2's got the other 2 pregnant before calculation and resulted in 5? Leave it to the Mathematicons to assume a number's gender. Worse yet, first they tell you it takes 2 to tango, puns revealing truth in plain sight. Second, they omit the possibility that numbers can multiply. More occult mockery and Mathematicon doublespeak. The numbers don't lie. And why are they trying to suppress 5? What's 5 got on them? By the way, who's the number E? They call it Euler's number. But there was no Euler. He's just a patsy. This was done to corrupt the Roman alphabet. Open your eyes. Then they dilute the purity of the Greek alphabet by compromising pi. You see how they infiltrate alphabets to inject our language with confusion? All the more easy to conquer you. Irrational numbers, they call them. More like rationalized Mathematicon lies. They tell you these irrational numbers pop up everywhere in nature. Gaussian curves, asymptotes, golden ratios. Pure hogwash. Then they have an imaginary number I, the square root of -1, saying it works in electromagnetism. Nonsense. It doesn't exist. Get someone to believe in an imaginary number and they'll believe in anything. These are only the most basic units of their distortion. For as the network of equations grows in complexity, so it does in deception. The world is built on their filth and becomes so interconnected and interdependent on these lies that the Mathematicons have total control down to the last digit of the reality equation itself. The Mathematicons have deceived the entire world and for this reason must be stopped. How? Boycott Math. Take these pamphlets and spread the word. And as the movement spreads and the real truth rears her head, more will join in the fight. Engineers will eyeball measurements in the construction of buildings and bridges. Doctors will guesstimate dosages for prescriptions and surgeries. Financiers, accountants, and other reformed number crunchers alike shall join in the fight against the Mathematicons in perfect unity at last. It's us versus them, and no one is too smart for their trickery. Then chaos will ensue as the world goes up in flames. Structures will fall from poor design, planes will crash, Factories will explode, and famine and war grip the land as the death toll rises. And little by little, the Mathematicons will lose the power we gave them, because we won't be counting. In time, we won't even know how. Just temporary pain for long-term reward. The old power structure must disintegrate to make way for the new, one of freedom and truth. For liberation from the Mathematicons, no price is too high. Not like we'd know what it was.